voting this week in the House of Representatives. I have all the details, what you need to know, and what we can expect right here in the video, so let's get right into it. I know in this video, I want to share with you the details of the vote that will be coming this week in the House of Representatives, as well as what we can expect out of this vote for the American people, as well as the country as a whole. Let's get into it, as a lot of things are happening right now, and we know that as of recently, we've been getting new information out of Congress and, of course, the administration. Therefore, let's get into it and talk through the details of this vote. However, really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you every single day, no matter what, doing the research and breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay posted on what's actually going on and how it may impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, and of course, anything popping up you can possibly grab and or take advantage of. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and talk about the latest updates and the vote that is coming this week in the House of Representatives. What is going on there? What can we expect? And then once it goes through the House, what do we expect in the Senate? And then, of course, with the president as well. Great questions. All right, so in the middle of last week, so just a few days ago, we got the announcement out of Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, obviously in the House of Representatives, where he introduced his $1.5 trillion deal to increase the debt ceiling. So let's talk about this because, according to what they're saying now, they're going to be holding a vote in the House of Representatives this week on that $1.5 trillion increase to the debt ceiling. Now, you might be wondering, why are we talking about this? What do we care about this? What does it mean for me? And all the details like that. Great questions. Well, let's talk about this because we're only about 5 weeks away, maybe even give or take a little bit less than that, from when we could potentially be defaulting here in this country. It all comes down to how much money the Treasury has. Well, as a result of that, we're watching the whole debt ceiling thing very closely because we know that Congress has been talking about this. They've been going back and forth, and realistically, we have not heard a whole lot about this other than just Congress going back and forth and pretty much attacking each other. Well, we finally, last week, just a few days ago on Wednesday, we finally got the announcements not only out of Kevin McCarthy and the $1.5 trillion increase to the debt ceiling, but we also got that same proposal. Well, I shouldn't say same. We also got a proposal out of the Problem Solvers Caucus, which is a caucus in the House of Representatives. 32 Republicans, 32 Democrats, 64 representatives total, where they came up with a deal as well. So we do know that they are going to be holding that vote here in the House of Representatives. Now, I've been doing a bunch of research on this because I want to understand, what is the likelihood of this thing actually passing? It looks like, according to what I'm reading on this, now again, there's a lot of biased information out there. And again, if you've been watching the videos here on the channel for any length of time now, I don't take political sides. However, I try to take information from both sides because I want to understand with a clear vision of what is really going on and unbiased opinions. So again, I've been seeing a lot of information coming out saying, oh no, it's not going to pass. Some sources are saying, it might pass with a really slim margin, and all kinds of details like this. So again, it looks like if this thing passes in the House of Representatives, it may skate right on by with a very, very, very narrow margin. So we'll see what actually happens here with this vote. However, here's what else I'm finding. If it does actually pass through the House of Representatives, it then moves on to the Senate. Great. What's going to happen there? According to what I'm reading on this, according to what everybody's saying, it's not going to go anywhere. It sounds like the Senate will basically vote this thing down immediately based on the details of this thing, the $1.5 trillion bill. It sounds like the Senate will not be supporting this. But again, we've heard that before many other times, right? We've heard all these packages, proposals that have been released, and then they vote on it, say in the House, and then they say, oh no, this thing is destined to fail in the Senate. And then sure enough, it goes there and it skates right on by, and it actually does pass through the Senate. So we'll see what actually happens there. But we do know that last week, just a few days ago, the administration, after Kevin McCarthy came out and introduced that $1.5 trillion bill, that the administration came out and basically said, this is terrible. There's no way. There's like not a chance. This is not happening. So even if this does pass through the House, the Senate, and then moves on its way to the president's desk, what's the likelihood he's actually going to sign this thing? Great question. We don't really know yet. So we'll have to continue watching this week, but at least they're finally coming together and doing something on the debt ceiling here. They're finally working on it. They're finally coming together on deals, or maybe not deals, but maybe they're actually coming together and working up some language on this thing, because we do know that regardless of where the actual default may happen, whether it's in early or mid-June, whether it's in early or mid-July, possibly even early August, depending on how fast the Treasury spends all that money that they have, or how long they can actually drag that out for, depending on how long they can actually do that, depends. The default that they're looking at, if it were to happen, was likely going to happen sometime anywhere between about early June and possibly early August, somewhere within that about 2 months time frame, according to what I've been reading on this. So anyway, this is the vote that'll likely be coming this week. Now again, you might be wondering, and like I mentioned earlier, what does this have to do with you? Why do you care about this? Well, first off, if this country were to default, which again, as I mentioned just the other day in a separate video, I highly doubt it's going to default here in this country. If it did, it wouldn't be a good situation. The credit rating here in this country would be very, very bad, right? Let me give you a quick example. When I say credit rating for the country, the country has a credit rating just like we do as individuals and consumers, right? We all have a credit score, right? Well, the country has a credit score, or basically credit rating as well. The same thing goes. Let's just give an example, right? So a person owns a house, right? And unfortunately, hard times come upon them and they can no longer pay the mortgage. They default on the mortgage. What happens to their credit score? Well, it goes down a lot. It's really, really bad for that person's credit score, right? Same thing goes with the country. If the country defaults, in other words, default just simply means a big word to basically say can't pay the bills is all that's happening with the country. If the country can no longer pay the bills and it defaults on the debt, the credit rating, just like the individual in the example that I just gave you, defaulting on a mortgage, it's really bad for the credit rating of the country as a whole. And it simply means that interest rates and things like this, as far as how much interest rate and, the availability of credit for the country as a whole, the credit and the availability of that money becomes less and less. The interest rate on that goes up. It's not a good situation. Defaulting in this country would be a bad situation. So, as I mentioned the other day, I don't foresee this happening, but I want to explain that really quickly in the event of a default here in this country. However, basically, we need to continue watching this because, Congress needs to come together on some kind of debt ceiling deal, whatever that happens to be, a suspension of it, an extension, raising it, whatever they want to do with it. They've got to come together on something because they are basically at the limit, which is $31.4 trillion. Not $31.40, not $31,400, but $31.4 trillion. Just a little bit of money there, right? That's a huge number, by the way. But anyway, hope this makes sense. But again, I will continue watching this very closely. What happens this week with the vote? Does it pass? Does it fail? Does it move on to the Senate? What does the Senate do with it? Do they throw it in the garbage? Do they burn it on burn it right there? What do they do with it? Well, we don't really know until it makes its way through the House of Representatives, right? Anyway, this is a pretty big deal. And again, there's a lot of people out there who are receiving fixed income benefits like Social Security, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA benefits, RRB benefits, things like this that, again, we've heard it time and time again. Politicians love to say this, where they say if we don't come together on a deal, it's going to default on, delay Social Security or stop Social Security, things like this. Okay, so again, let's just calm down for a second here. Let's just remember that, let's just not worry about that. But my point is, in the event of a default, or if they do not come together on a deal, yeah, we could see some impacts to fixed income benefits. But as I mentioned before the other day, and I've mentioned this many times over the last couple months here, I would not anticipate that to happen. So please do not worry about it. There's no reason to be, worried about it. There's no reason to lose sleep over that right now anyway. However, if we fast forward a month and a half, something like that, and we're still not together on a deal, well, then the conversation may change a little bit. But as of right now, that's where we currently stand. And why this is so important, the debt ceiling issue, even though it sounds like something that wouldn't have any impact on us, it would actually have a pretty big impact on all of us in a pretty big way. Whether you're a fixed income beneficiary or not, it would not be a good situation. Anyway, that's the vote that's going down this week. The $1.5 trillion bill from last week, Kevin McCarthy, when he introduced that, on Wednesday, by the way. That's what they're voting on. And anyway, if I get any more information on this, or if they pass it, if they fail it, if they, whatever they do, of course, I'll continue to keep you posted. Anyway, thought this was pretty important. It is pretty important. We've got to continue watching this. And again, I continue to get questions and emails asking for an update on the debt ceiling issue, what's going on with your payments, things like this. As of right now, nothing to worry about, okay? Let's just keep an eye on this. Let's not get too worked up about it right now. There's a lot of other things that we can be, more concerned about and focusing our attention on right now, but this is one of those we should just keep an eye on, but not get too worked up about right now. Anyway, hope this helps you out. Again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day, take care, and I'll catch you again soon.